Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment, and here again to discuss T. Higgins and Brock Bowers. I did touch on this yesterday with Mr. Titan here on this channel, and then with Titans Rossi and Sam Phelan over on the Titan Upload Network. But this was one of the more interesting storylines of the week, so I wanted to touch on it just a little bit more. I think it was that and then the Bill Hardigran hire. Those are the two biggest things of the week, so wanted to make another video. I thought I'd go more in depth on my thoughts here, and I was really looking into the contract situation for potentially T. Higgins and my thoughts on that. And I also watched a little bit of Brock Bowers tape today, and I watched him a lot at Georgia. I mean, if you're watching any SEC football regularly, you've watched Brock Bowers now for 3 years. But have you actually sat down? Have you watched him block? Have you seen what he can actually potentially do at the next level? I felt like maybe I could have done a little bit more of that. So I did that today, and I have some thoughts on how I see Brock Bowers performing at the next level. So we will discuss that today as well. So let's begin with T. Higgins. So again, T. Higgins is at the Super Bowl, and he was discussing with Justin, I want to say is his name, or is it Justin or Jordan? But one of the guys from the Sick podcast. And he was discussing potentially, rejoining Brian Callahan. I'm gonna say Bill Callahan, rejoining Brian Callahan, who was his offensive coordinator. And now, what is it now going on? It was 4 years during his all 4 years with the Cincinnati Bengals, potentially in Tennessee, as T. Higgins is an upcoming free agent. So firstly, let's address this because, let's not get everyone's hopes up. I don't think he'll hit free agency, but I also don't think it's as unlikely as some people think it is. Right now, I'll say 60% he doesn't, 40% he does. And the reason I say that is it is a high number. So for wide receivers, it's $21 million to franchise tag a wide receiver this year. T. Higgins, in my estimate, okay, so I compared him. To me, you're looking at around, at the very least, a Mike Williams $20 million a year to at the very most an A.J. Brown $25 million a year, right? Remember, A.J. Brown got that 4-year, $100 million contract. Some people thought that was overpaid at the time. That was 2 years ago, okay? That was 2 years ago, and A.J. Brown had stats very similar to T. Higgins. Right, a year with about 900 yards, and then 2 years over 1,000. And the T. Higgins had an extra fourth year where, he got hurt this year, and the production wasn't quite there. But also remember that Joe Burrow got hurt, so that also contributed as to why. Did his play drop off maybe a little bit? I mean, maybe. But he's still super young and in that prime. So I think he could go up to A.J. Brown $25 million. I don't think it's going to be more than that because A.J. Brown is still, I think, the fourth highest paid wide receiver. I don't think T. Higgins can get top 3 money. That's just a little too much for me to say right now. Tyreek Hill ended up getting, I want to say it was 28. And then Devonta Adams, same thing. I mean, they were so proven at that point. Like, they had earned their money. T. Higgins is still trying to prove that, oh, yeah, I am this perennial Pro Bowl wide receiver. In fact, I'm not even sure, and let me check real quick. I mean, has he made a Pro Bowl yet? We know he's that caliber of guy, and he plays with Jamar Chase. So, that's the reason why. I have no doubt he'll make, multiple Pro Bowls with his next team if he does, in fact, go to a new team. But no, he hasn't even made the Pro Bowl yet. So at least A.J. Brown at that point had been a Pro Bowler. So T. Higgins, I am a fan. Okay, I do think that he would come in here and do very good things. Am I more in love with the potential of drafting Malik Neighbors? Yes. Romo Dunze, mostly. And do I believe that there will be some other wide receivers that might end up better than him in this draft? A couple. So I would say max 3 or 4. If this is a great wide receiver class, 4. And that's eventually, by the way. I mean, I'm not off rip. The only two that are going to be better than him off rip is MSJ and Malik Neighbors, and who knows? I mean, with these rookie wide receivers, sometimes they struggle a little bit. I mean, Julio, I'm not even like that's a big deal. I mean, Julio Jones had like 900 yards his rookie year. Who cares? But it happens, right? Not everyone's Puka Nacua. Okay, not everyone just comes out on off rip, just kills it. So I won't be disappointed if he were coming in, or any rookie wide receiver coming in and do that. But I think eventually, yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. will be better than him. I think Malik Neighbors will be better than him, and then I think think one or two more that I won't specifically name right now. I think Odunze might, and then maybe one more. Well, a guy that I'm not going to see coming, probably like a third rounder or something, or a fifth like Puka Nacua. So you're getting a more proven commodity if you go out and get T. Higgins. Oh, and by the way, just because you go out and get T. Higgins doesn't mean that you can't draft one of those guys too, because last I checked, okay, DeAndre Hopkins came in here and did great. He's gone. Next year, most likely, he's gone, right? He's not a long-term play for us at wide receiver. And as of right now, that's all we got. Okay, because as of right now, as of this moment, Traylon Burks is still not progressing, so we know we can't rely upon him. Kyle Phillips can't stay healthy and is not progressing, more than the minimum amount. And Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, his days are numbered. Chris Moore, his days are numbered. So we really got to rebuild this entire wide receiver core. So just because you get T doesn't mean you shouldn't draft Malik. Okay, for year one, is it a lot to have Hopkins, Higgins, and Malik? Yeah, then in that scenario, probably one of them is not going to produce much at all. But they'll get over it. Hopkins will get over because he'll move on the next year, maybe retire in a couple years, and then the other two will move on will get over it because they're going to be getting much more production from every year moving forward. So I don't think that's what we do. I don't think that we would both do TN number 7 at wide receiver, but I'm not discounting because we have to rebuild the entire position, and then it would just be T. Higgins and Malik Neighbors anyway. After this year, that's who it's going to be. Okay, dope. That's the duo. So I don't think that necessarily rules it out, but, again, we'll have to see on that. You feel like they'd be more inclined to take a tackle. So I do think at that $22 million number, I think he's finally paid. That puts him right there with Chris Godwin. I think he's a better wide receiver than Chris Godwin. I think Chris Godwin was very Brady dependent. I mean, well, maybe not very, but because he did do things with Jameis. But he needs a volume passer. I'll say that, whether it be Brady or Jameis. Without that, sometimes he can disappear at times. I think he's better than Mike Williams and a better investment than Mike Williams. Hell, when Mike Williams got paid his deal, 3 years, $60 million, Mike Williams had really only had one good year. Only had one really impressive year where he had over 1,100 yards, and even that year he had minimum touchdowns, and now he's injured again, and he can't stay healthy. So Mike Williams hasn't really lived up to his $20 million contract. Debo's been in and out of the lineup. He's had his health concerns. He's getting paid about $23 million. Diggs has performed up to it. He's getting $24 million. So he's about in that range for me. And because we have so much friggin' cap space, you might as well. I mean, what are you missing out on? Who are you saving this money for? Okay, are you saving it for Will Levis? Well, that's 3 years, 2 years down the road, if he's really good 2 years down the road, right? But really not even that. So, because even then, the extension wouldn't even kick in until the year after that anyway. So 3 years until you really have to pay Will Levis if he is that franchise guy. There's no one else we have to pay. There's no running back. There's no wide receiver because Hopkins, again, he's gone next year, so there ain't no running back you have to pay. Ain't no offensive line that's on this team right now except for Skoronski if he ends up being that elite guard. We have plenty of time to figure that out, and we have a fifth-year option on him anyway. The only defensive lineman, we already paid him in Jeffrey Simmons. Who's the damn linebacker you got to pay? You already paid Harold Laird. You ain't got to pay. You're not paying anybody. You're not paying anybody, okay? So you might as well spend the money. So whether it be T. Higgins, and I prefer Higgins because even though Mike Evans is better, at least today, Mike Evans is not going to be better moving forward. Mike Evans has 1 or 2 more really good years left in him, but that's going to be about it. He's already 30. He's going to be 31. So it's T. Higgins moving forward. He's 25, 26. He's only one that's going to continue to improve of the main wide receivers that you want from the group. There's also some other names I like out there. So like there's Curtis Samuel, there's Tyler Boyd, guys that can come in here and be a nice number 3, 100%, and we'll discuss those guys. But T. Higgins, I am intrigued. He is intrigued. I think 60% chance the Bengals franchise him. But if you're gonna franchise him for $21 million. You might as well sign him to a long-term deal because that's what he wants. He wants $21, $22, $23 million a year. So that's where I'm like, if they won't extend him for that number, why are they going to franchise him? It's not like he really needs to prove anything more. Maybe that he could have another 1,000-yard year, but he would have got that if he was healthy and Burrow healthy this year. He's proven, in my opinion, and in the playoffs he's proven. So we'll see on that, and we'll see how that continues to progress. And then that moves us on to Brock Bowers. So Brock Bowers, he was asked in some, draft show that was going on. I think it was NFL Network. If there was any team that he'd be interested in joining, and he interestingly said the Tennessee Titans. He said that he enjoyed his time at Georgia. He enjoyed his time in the South. Why not stay there? I didn't even know this until last night when Sam Phelan brought it up on the show. I didn't know his girlfriend actually goes to University of Tennessee. So now it makes sense. Because I was saying at first, wait, what does Georgia have to do with the Tennessee Titans? I know there are some of you out there that are Titans and Georgia Bulldog fans. There's way more Bulldog and Falcon fans. Like, it's not even close, as it should be. I mean, Athens, Georgia is hell further east than Atlanta, okay? So if you're going to pick a team and you grew up with the Bulldogs or you consider yourself a Bulldog, it would first be the Falcons. And then I wouldn't be surprised if there's more Panther fans than there are Titans fans in the Georgia Bulldog community. That's like 50-50. Unless if you're from North Georgia, you probably like the Panthers more than you like the Titans. That's what I've seen. So I was like, and he's from California. He's from Napa Valley. So I was like, okay, I think he's trying to get picked higher than Atlanta, because Atlanta's actually picking like decently high too. But, Atlanta, they have Kyle Pitts, and he wouldn't want to play with Kyle Pitts. He sees that, no, the Titans could use a tight end. I want to go to either probably the Chargers or the Titans if I can. So I'm going to pick the Titans, and I'm going to say the Titans right now. And my girlfriend's, University of Tennessee. Although I'm not a big fan of the Nashville to Knoxville trip. I don't know. Some people are. And for those of you that went to UT and you still make that trip often, props to you. Because anytime I have to go to Knoxville, starts to yawn on my drive there and back. It's a 3-hour trip there. It's not like it's nothing. I'd rather go to Atlanta in a lot of cases, but yeah. So, or Memphis even, but that's just me. That's just me. I know that the Vol fans are going to like hearing that. So he's interested. Does it matter? No. Now, my big thing and the big thing to discuss, can you take or should you take a tight end that high? And in my opinion, no. Unless if he is truly that Travis Kelce type, and to me, he's not. I think he's a good pass catcher, maybe even very good, and I think he's a great blocker. I don't think he's going to be a generational pass catcher. I don't think he's Tony Gonzalez. I don't think he's Travis Kelce. He's more like Gronk, but in my opinion, this is just my opinion though, I don't think Gronk would have got nearly the numbers if he had any other quarterback other than an elite quarterback. I really believe that system that Gronk was in and Brady and his connection was far the reason why Gronkowski put up the numbers that he did. If you put him on the damn Tennessee Titans, he never breaks 1,000 yards. That's my opinion. You can disagree. I would take a Tony Gonzalez over him objectively. I would take a Shannon Sharp over him objectively. I would take Antonio Gates, I think is better than Gronk as a pass catcher. As a blocker, that's where Gronk excels and that's where he separates himself. But in today's NFL, if you're not that he's a bad pass catcher, because he is very talented. He knows how to find spots on the defense. But if blocking to me is more of your strength, I'm not that interested. And to me, it's more. If he was because Kelsey's damn near, now he's a very good blocking tight end, but they use him like a damn slot receiver. And Brock you can use like that, but I still think he has to do a little more progressing to get to that point before I'm like, oh yeah, this guy is going to be Antonio Gates. This guy's going to put up Gates-Gonzalez numbers. If you're going to try to tight end that high, I need Gates-Gonzalez-Kelsey numbers. I need those numbers. And Gonzalez is doing it with bad quarterback play mostly. Those are the numbers I need, okay? I can't be having you just getting 900 yards. I need you to break 1,000, okay? You're a 1,000-yard tight end if we're drafting you that high. I don't know if he's going to be that for a lot of quarterbacks. If he ends up with an elite quarterback, sure. If he doesn't go to the right situation, he'll end up like Kyle Pitts. Maybe he'll be better than Kyle Pitts, but he'll end up like, Cole Kmet. Or so he'll like 800-900 yards, maybe even like Hawkinson. He'll do well, but I don't think he'll look and say this guy's a 100% Hall of Famer. Hell, they didn't even put Antonio Gates in the Hall of Fame as a first ballot. How ridiculous is that? So considering that, and considering I love Neighbors more than him and Alt more than him as prospects, you got to take Alt or Neighbors, and one of them's going to be there. And if not, then I slightly consider Bowers. I still probably wouldn't do it. I'm still mixed on Olu Fashanu. I didn't want to watch more tape on it. I probably would take Olu or someone else, maybe even Romo Dunze at that point. I just don't love what Brock is going to do the next level. I think people are going to be a little disappointed. Even if he's George Kittle, I don't know if George Kittle does not win a Super Bowl, I don't know if he's going to the Hall of Fame. It depends how much longer he plays. Okay, but George Kittle, and he can make an impact, don't get me wrong, and he has made an impact. I don't know if George Kittle's going to the Hall of Fame. I can't guarantee you that. There's not many Hall of Fame tight ends because not many of them make that much of an impact. So what would he be? Is he going to be Vernon Davis? What is he going to be? There's just not enough tight ends in the history of the NFL to me that have made that much of a difference, and we're moving away from that. Wasn't the whole point of getting Brian Callahan was to move away from the old Tennessee Titans philosophy and ideology that we use tight ends and we use running backs? This is Brian Callahan's offense, and this is an offense in which we want to use our wide receivers, in which we want to throw outside to our wide receivers. And again, Brock Bowers can catch, but he's not the Kelsey type of tight end. He's not the Gates type of tight end. He's not the Tony Gonzalez type of tight end to me that would warrant picking him 7. I would take a wide receiver in Brian Callahan's system where they didn't even throw the damn tight end. They barely threw to Hayden Hurst. They barely threw to, I can't remember who was that other tight end that they had. Uzama, when he was there, shout out to my boy Uzama. They barely threw to him. They earned him a contract with New York, which was ridiculous, but they barely threw to him. They don't really throw the tight end in Cincinnati, so I think you see something very similar here. Look at the Rams system. They throw to Higbee a decent amount, but they don't need Higbee. They've never needed Higbee. And then, even now with the other tight end that they've been using. So I just don't think it makes much sense. I wouldn't anticipate it. I think this is just the old Tennessee Titans philosophy. If Mike Vrabel was here and he was installing his system and he was doing his thing and, Tim Kelly was trying to do his thing or Arthur Smith, you know what? Tight end absolutely is on the table. With Brian Callahan and this new system and our new analytics and our new approach, I don't think Brock Bowers is going to be the move. And that's no disrespect to Brock Bowers, but I don't believe he's going to be the move. But we shall see. So, with that said, that's going to do it for me tonight. Thoughts on T. Higgins and Brock Bowers being interested in the Tennessee Titans? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. I'm out. See you all later. All right, that's done.